Okay, first of all, who can tell me the calcium recommendation value in your country? In Philippines? Who is the representative to answer this? 1,000? My question is, how about the calcium recommendation value in your country? 1,000 milligrams. How about in Vietnam? Calcium recommendation value in Vietnam for adults, for most people, not specific for pregnant ladies or babies. Yeah, and later, the second class I will show you how to calculate if it is not a correct dietary patterns or models. Actually, but I want to show you how to calculate if we just eat single calcium-rich food, how to get 1,000 milligrams of calcium just in this kind of food. You will feel amazing. Why? Just not a big amount, not a big amount. Okay. Okay. How about in Vietnam? Can you tell me the recommendation of calcium in your country for adults? Yeah, please use your cell phone to check this. Anyone can tell me? And later, pardon me? 900. Oh, okay, okay, for adults, okay. And today I'm going to show you this one, this textbook. Okay. Okay, I just copy and paste the textbook today here. I will use a section in the chapter about minerals to explain the importance of calcium, and next class I will show you how to calculate it. Read book. Minerals, where is minerals? Okay, major minerals. Calcium. Okay. Calcium is the most abundant mineral in the body, and greater than 99% of it is stored in bone tissue. And the compound mainly is calcium phosphate. Although only 1% of the calcium is in the human body is found in the blood and soft tissue, but there can be a dangerous thing. For example, when people getting old, especially female senior ladies, they may have some trouble in low calcium. But you know, there is one thing. I heard about a story like this. In our bone, sorry, I'm not a good drawer like this. 99% of calcium is stored in the bone. That's okay, but when checking the calcium in blood, it cannot be a correct indicator to show whether this person is sick. I mean, is lacking calcium. Why? Because here, like a bank, it has a money deposit inside. And when I need more calcium to do something, for example, to catalyze some chemical reaction, biological reactions, and those bonds will release calcium. The balance is 2 plus into the blood. Thus, try to keep the concentration in blood is a constant value. It's a constant value. I think you already learned this when you were a high school student or junior high school student, like this one. Thus, when checking the blood calcium concentration is not a good indicator. Why? Because when we need more calcium, but you don't intake enough calcium, it means I don't earn enough money, but I need to spend more than I earn. Thus, I need to spend my deposit. So, especially not only in China, but many countries, especially senior ladies, they have problem about the bone cerebrosis, like this one. Okay, then the calcium will release from the bone and into the blood to maintain the essential biological reactions. Okay, so this one is not good and not good indicator. Okay, that performs the most critical functions. Blood calcium levels are rigorously controlled so that if the blood level drop, the body will rapidly respond by stimulating the bone resorption, and they will release calcium into the blood, because I told it's deposited in the bank, the money in the bank, in our account, but it's impossible that to spend your account money to the minus, to the date. You need to intake enough and store the extra money, store the extra calcium into your bank. Okay. So it sacrifices its stored calcium to maintain blood calcium levels. This is why bone health depends on the intake of dietary calcium, and also why blood levels of calcium do not always correspond to the dietary intake. Again, because we need to run the biological chemical reaction. For example, I need to digest something. My cells need to reproduce. I mean, the DNA may reproduce the DNA. The DNA may transcript into the mRNA. mRNA will translate into protein. Protein will work. And those kind of activity, we call it biological reactions. And some of them need minerals like calcium, like potassium, like sodium, like zinc, like selenium, many magnesium. Iron. Iron is one of the important, but many people do not intake enough iron. Maybe next week or later I can discuss about that. And calcium play a role in a number of different functions in the body, like bone and tooth formation. Okay. And the most well-known calcium function is to build and strengthen the bones and teeth. Recall that when bone tissue first forms during the modeling or remodeling process, if unhardened, protein-rich osteoid tissue in the osteoblast directed the process of the bone mineralization. Calcium phosphate. Okay, again, calcium phosphate is a kind of salt. So let me explain here. Salt, in our definition, is a compound combined by metal and non-metal. When they put together, we call it salt. But it's a little bit different from table salt. In our language, salt, it means sodium chloride. But here the salt, according to the chemical definition, is the compound composed of non-metal component, and the other is metal component. For example, potassium chloride or calcium phosphate, calcium sulfate. Why I mentioned the calcium sulfate? Because the calcium sulfate is the most important food additive to produce tofu or dougan. tofu or dougan. Okay, and it's very pardon me, for food. But actually, for example, this kind of food is not a naturally calcium rich the food because it's a kind of process to coagulate the protein from soybean, and because of the salt, I mean calcium sulfate, it can get those proteins together, become insoluble. Then after the process, they can filter it with a very dense the cloth to remove the water. Then the insoluble protein will get together like this one. Excuse, do you eat this kind of tofu or dougan in your country? Philippines, very popular. Sorry, I'm not familiar with you. Pork, yeah, yeah, cook them together. Okay, okay, okay. And I believe it's very how can I say in our language you call it is coin value delicious dishes. Coin value is very cheap or very affordable for people. Affordable, and I love this one too because I love the smell of soybean protein. Okay, and are deposited in the protein matrix. The calcium salt typically make up about 65% of bone tissue. When your diet is calcium deficient, okay, when your diet is calcium deficient, the mineral content of the bone decrease, causing it become brittle and weak. Yeah, especially for elder females. Anemia, yeah. Osteoporosis, yeah, okay. Actually, my grandma, she passed away about 20 years ago, and she had this kind of disease lacking of calcium. And one day, when my grandmother was changing clothes, but she didn't sitting on a chair, then she fell down, then broken her bones. And after that, she needed to stay on the wheelchair. In Taiwan, I have met in your country, after elders, they start to use the wheelchair, they are aging very, very quickly, then close to the end of life. So, sorry, it's different story. Let me tell you about that. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I installed the safety knob in a restroom, in a bathroom. I don't know the term. Uh, for example, I installed the knob in the bathroom of my parents and my parents-in-laws, the restroom. Okay, let me show you that. Sorry. Okay. I may not use the correct English, but I think it's a safety knob or safety. I don't know how to call that. Okay, in the restroom or in the bathroom for every family. And I heard about a story that for the elders or senior parents, their bones are not so healthy and they need a little bit help. If we have this kind of safety knob, then they can do it better and save. So I installed this one by myself, maybe many years ago for my parents-in-law's bathroom and my parents' bathroom. So I hope they are all set. And so when I was a kid, I heard about many senior elders. They had some bad stories. So I never hope that happened to my parents and my parents-in-law. Okay. So if you are still young, you are very strong. Your muscle, your bone are very okay. Okay. Let me come back here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's one way, and I know that in Taiwan, according to the building regulations, the government ask the public buildings they need to install those those devices or safety devices for some. Sorry, I prevent you use the term, but I don't know the term. The handicapped for some not so convenient in working or in something like this. They have maybe have a knob close to the toilet, and some people they are handicapped and they can use the device to stand up to sit down for in a safe situation. In a safe situation. So maybe. So I I hope my parents and all senior people they can save. Okay, let's move here. Right? And greater mineralized bone tissue corresponding to a greater BMD and its greater bone strength. The remaining calcium plays a role in nerve impulse transmission by facilitating electrical impulse transmission from nerve cell to another. So if we don't intake enough calcium, we have the trouble in nerve system. Calcium in muscle cells is essential for muscle contracting because the flow of calcium iron are needed for the muscle proteins. Here, actin or amino acid is actin is a kind of protein existing in our muscle, and the other one is myosin. Myosin is very close to hemoglobin. Myosin, you can check the term. It can carry oxygen. It can carry oxygen and release oxygen to our muscle cells, to interact. Okay, and calcium is also essential in blood clotting by activating clotting factors to fix dangerous tissue. But I heard about story. Some people if they have some cardiovascular disease, they may eat aspirin to prevent the blood clotting. But some doctors may not suggest this because the blood clotting is a protection for human body. Okay, and in addition, the calcium's four primary functions. The calcium has several other minor functions. They are critical for maintaining normal physiology. For example, without calcium, the hormone insulin. I have a story about this term. Okay, how do you read this term? In insulin. Okay. Let me finish this story first. About the year 2004 or 2005, I forgot it because I arrived the year started my PhD program in the year 2003. Okay, maybe you were not born on the year. Okay, and one day I attend an English course because it's essential. So it was essential for international students, for non-English native speakers. Okay, I read this term, insulin. It's Taiwanese accent. It was not correct. So can you read it again? Insulin. Okay, then the teacher, can you spell the term? I said INSULIN. Oh, that's insulin. American accent, insulin. Then I tell my students of this story. Okay, actually, Americans they changed the way to pronounce the English terms. It's not our fault. I mean, our Taiwanese fault. I know I'm not good in English. That's true. But Americans they change their way to read the terms. It can be a trouble. I predict that it can be a trouble. Okay, insulin. Okay. Thank you. You're very close to the spelling of this one. And one day a student did not believe what I say. Insulin? No, I don't believe it. you can you can check the Merriam and Webster's dictionary and click the American accent. Yeah, insulin. Okay, it's not my fault. Okay. The calcium is very important to regulate the hormone. Insulin. Okay. Cannot be released from cell into the pancreas, and glycogen could not be broken down in muscle cells and used to provide energy for muscle contraction. So the calcium is also important for this one. And the second topic, maintaining the calcium levels. Because the calcium performs such vital functions in body, blood calcium level is closely regulated by the hormone PTH, parathyroid hormone, PTH. And when the blood calcium level is low, the PTH is secreted into the blood, increase the blood calcium levels via 3 different mechanisms. We don't need to memorize the mechanisms like this one. Okay, and now I have a question. Can you tell me the calcium deficiency in your country? But let me tell you that in Taiwan, the not deficiency, I mean insufficiency is about 90%. I'm not kidding. I was surprised by, wow, so high ratio. Insufficiency is different from insufficient. It's different. Okay. And there are two ways. For example, okay. Calcium deficiency. Sorry. Maybe I misspelled it. Okay. Oh, sorry. CIN, not TIN. Okay. The term is hypocalcemia, and okay. Let me tell you one better truth. Here is the abstract from the AI, but not always reliable. Because here is the link. It means the citation used by the Google, but I checked that not always reliable. So my suggestion is, because this kind of information, we need to find a reliable information. Generally, not, for example, this one, Taipei Times, not reliable. Website here, wellbloom.com, it's a commercial website, maybe not good enough. And here, ScienceDirect.com, what's this? ScienceDirect.com actually is one of the famous journal publisher or journals. Okay, and here nutritional rickets in Taiwanese children, and this is academic research results, and it's more reliable. So my suggestion is, if you are okay, you can study from PubMed. Made. Anyone ever use PubMed? Public Medicine, a very famous U.S. Medicine library. Let me check. Here is National Institutes of Health.gov, and the research results from this website is more reliable because they are academic results, academic articles. Okay, so let me have 1 more minute. So you can use your cell phone, follow my step, and calcium deficiency or calcium insufficiency in Philippines, in Vietnam, in somewhere in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Korea, in Japan, somewhere you can check. Then you can type PubMed. But for you, your background may not about the biological. Maybe it's a little bit difficult for you to study those articles. Okay. Okay. One more minute. Okay. Hypocalcemia is a common risk factor of osteoporosis, and the year is here. 2022 is a recent published. Okay, this okay, and like this one. Okay, and those are academic results, and their information is more reliable. So again, I want to show you one concept. You can use the search engine, me too. You can use the information online, me too. But you need to learn how to select reliable information. For this kind of information, especially about the biological research, health research, you can type one more word. Let's call it PubMed. Okay. Then you will get a lot of information from NIH. We call NIH, National Institutes of Health. This one. Okay. Early identification of vitamin D deficiency risk through something like this. Is that okay for you? Okay, how about have a 10-minute break, then we can come back and I will show you how to check the calcium content in food. Okay, see you later.